Well, good morning, our beloveds. This is take 2, as take 1 was too long, and our another is cranky as it relates to those things. And it's okay to be cranky, which is what we shall channel on today. Many of you have had so many contrasting experiences arise which make you cranky, irritable, frustrated, angry, tormented, terrified, whatever it is. Lots of negative emotions. And in the past, you tried to subdue them, make nice, play nice, whatever it is. And now you're learning it's better to just embrace where you're at, feel what you're feeling, allow it to flow through you, because this is the shadow side. This is the side that you have suppressed for many years because you were taught and meant to be polite and nice and agreeable and all those other things. And for those of you who did those things, you were bitchy or an asshole or cranky or controlling or whatever it is. And that may have been true, and it may not have been true. Maybe it was because you simply spoke up and weren't easy to get along with, because you were trying to express your dissatisfaction, to set healthy boundaries, or just to tell people how you felt. And if they don't want to feel anything that is less than ideal, they tell you that you're the problem because you're not permitted to speak up. That is the reality that many of you lived through and in and experienced and embraced at the end, because you were taught that this is what love looks like. To be told that you have no worth, that you have no right to speak up, that what you think matters not, and just do as you're told and suck it up, buttercup. And those days are coming to an end, and for many of you, it has already ended, because the energetic imprint of the Aquarian age has already infiltrated and embalmed some of you, where the old you is dead and buried, and there's a new sassy, playful, and enlightened version kind of skipping through the field these days. So what does this mean? What does this mean for humanity, and what does it mean for you? It means that those well-behaved women, those well-behaved children, chimpanzees, if you will, right, where you treat them as lesser than, well, they're no longer going to be well-behaved. They're going to be sassy and playful and outspoken. And as more of you learn how to speak up and to do it more effectively, because there's obviously an effective and efficient way to do it, one that produces desirable results. But you can't learn what works unless you learn what doesn't work. And so you learn to speak up, you learn to irritate people, you learn to push away people, you learn to enrage people, and you'll see who is interested in allowing you to explore and expand and who's not. And if they're not, you just walk away. No point in crying over spilt milk when there are many other pitchers and glasses out there for you to engage with. Finding your tribe is a lot like trial and error, where you may be a bumblebee or some creature of flight who is a pollinator, and you go from flower to find the nectar which is sweet. And with time, you will find what is more desirable, what is more tasty, and you'll go there. But at first, you have to sample everything to figure out what feels good and what doesn't. And don't begrudge yourself your growing pains, because the most important lessons are the most painful lessons. When you put your hand on the stove that is hot, you learn not to do that. If somebody tells you not to do that, it may not really have meaning. It may have a conceptual, textual understanding within your brain, but it doesn't have personal meaning. So embrace your more painful experiences as they are teaching you who you are not and what you prefer to avoid. And therein you will see what feels good, where the flow is. Because when you bump up against a closed door, but the river of life continues to push you downstream, you will know that you are not meant to go through that doorway. It was closed, and that there will be other doorways that you will naturally flow through. And it may even look and feel like the one upstream, just at a different point in time, in space and history. And then you will learn the lesson that you are meant to learn when you eventually do go through that open doorway. It is all synchronized. You may want to go to 6th grade, but if you just graduated from kindergarten, you do need a progression. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Some of you are so good you may skip a grade or two, but as a whole there is still a progression because it's also the socialization which is valuable, learning how to get along with people and how to walk away from those who are unkind, unjust, or just simple bullies. And you, at the end of the day, get to decide what your journey looks like because you get to choose what you pursue and what you walk away from. And in these coming days, months, years, decades, and so forth, it will become more apparent who you are meant to be because the universe is pulling each of you forward to your destiny. But it will be more faded, if you will, if you don't awaken and recognize that you get to co-create with us by choosing who you're going to pursue, who you're going to walk away from, what feels good and what doesn't, and asking for more experiences that help you on your journey to become the brightest version of you. And bright is not like what you think as an intelligent. Bright is who is the most compassionate, who is the most loving, who is the most vindictive, right? That's the opposite of compassionate. Who shines brightly? Those who have the most love and light to give and who are mindful in how they expend their energy. You must always find a source that helps to replenish your flame and your expression. If you're in constant state of contrast, where your light is being dimmed because you are constantly feeling challenged, that's not good. But the occasional challenge is good because it does help to refine you and sharpen your sword. You do need those challenges to remind you what it feels like when you're not in the flow and what adaptation and vulnerability looks like. And as you get better at this, you will get better at it. You will get more succinct, you will be more refined, and you will polish your grime and your grit off of your beautiful diamond or your gemstone, whichever it is that you align with. The more you remove the crusties, the more you will sparkle, and the more you will actually refract the light, thereby not only sending light in one direction, but in multiple directions. All you need to do is hang a gemstone. A diamond, a clear diamond would be perfect because of the clarity and the purity of it. And when the light comes through, it creates a rainbow in many different directions and enlightens, envisions, and emboldens your space. You will understand when you find the center of that vortex where you just allow the light to shine through you and to go where it's most needed. And you will learn how to replenish and regenerate yourself by not actually giving away of your own energy, but instead just being a source for God to come through where you hold on to your own energy, but just give away that which is not yours. When you are a straw or a hose, the water that comes through one end gets spit out the other end. But when you are using your own energy, you are just pulling from your own resources to give away your water, but it is not being refilled and replenished by another source. So be mindful about how you engage with the world, because you are designed to live in a continuous cycle. So if you think of the infinity symbol, there is no beginning, there is no end. It is a closed system or a closed loop, and you will never give away, and you will never have too much. It is just a movement of the energy, and it flows and it flows and it flows, and it grows and it expands. But you don't understand what you don't understand until you do understand. And then you can't share it with others who are not ready to understand because they don't understand. It is a magnetic, vibrational thing. You can give away that which you have, but if nobody takes it, you will continue to hold it. But those who are ready are coming, they're willing, and they're able, and you will begin to build your community in new ways now that you are in the 4th month of the 2023 year, shifting and growing and blending with what the Aquarian age is here to teach you all, which is unconditional love, boundaries, collaboration, not competition, and trusting in the abundance of life, that there truly is enough to go around for everyone, because there never were limitations except for within your own belief systems. That is the world within which you reside and in which you inhabit your place in the cosmos to bring about the change that your specific soul endeavored to bring. It's not about being right or wrong. It is simply about exploring your own navel, figuring out what makes you happy and what doesn't, and finding the balance point between. Being yourself has never meant to be this difficult as you all envision it. It's just figuring out what the most authentic and complete expression of you is, and being that, and attracting all of the experiences that that particular vibration would call upon you. Good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter. It's all here to teach and to refine you to become the person that you were meant to be through whatever means necessary, including being dragged through the mud and the cold and the dark and the painful spots, because you learn most who you are by figuring out who you are not. And we will share this. You guys, in many ways, are your most authentic versions of yourselves when you are in distress. How do you react to the world when you are triggered? Are you kind and loving? Or you are not kind and loving? That is the most complete essence of you, when you can still be kind even though you are in pain. Loving others shouldn't be so hard when you trust that there's enough to go around, and that your pain and suffering is simply here to refine you and to remind you that you too can suspend disbelief for a moment when the silence of life is forced upon you. Being forced into meditation because you are forced to surrender, because there are no other options left to avail, that, our beloveds, that is where your most authentic version can be found. In the surrender, where you give up all desire to control and manipulate, and you allow us to come through you and to evolve your process into what it is that your soul came to experience, which is not to be wealthy or famous. It is, to be honest, simply to be love. And so it is. Namaste.